it started off as a fun hobby and a real interest of mine, and then became something where I felt like we were doing something important. And we were giving our community access to food that's raised beyond the standards of the best food you can find in Oklahoma.
Nate, it's a joy to be out here. It's such a beautiful space at your Prairie Creek Farms. Thank you so much. And tell us a little bit about Prairie Creek Farms and why your meats are beyond organic. What does that mean?
Well, what we do out here is a little different than a traditional farm, and we raise all of our animals outside on the pasture and in the woods. They rotate around. We do a rotational grazing is what it's called. And so all of our pigs, for example, they start their life here on Prairie Creek Farms in what we call a paddock, a half acre, and then every 3 or 4 weeks, they move to a new place. And so what they're doing is they're causing a lot of destruction in that area that they're in, and then they move, and then that piece of land won't see another pig for 6 months. And it's the same thing we do with our cattle. We'll move them around the farm so they may graze down a bunch of grass, and then we take the cows off of it completely, let the grass go back to its full, mature, most nutrient-dense state, and then we bring the cows back in. So we're doing a couple of things out here. Number one, our primary responsibility is to be stewards of the land. And so we have, in Oklahoma, we have fantastic, rich soil. We are trying to use our animals to give back to the land, to use them to build soil. We rotate our chickens all around the pastures to build soil, and as well as give them a diverse diet. Everything that we do is centered around making sure that we are putting more nutrients back in and making sure that our animals are living the best possible life. And so the byproduct of that operation is a very nutrient-dense, healthy animal. None of our animals have had any shots. We don't give any antibiotics whatsoever. We feed certified non-GMO feed to all of our animals. And that creates a very nutrient-dense, flavorful, rich food profile. We kind of control the entire process. And so we get an animal as a baby and we raise it up the Prairie Creek way. And then we take it and have it processed under USDA inspection and then sell it to our community. And so from the moment that that animal touches Prairie Creek Farms until the moment that that animal is on a plate in someone's home, we're touching all aspects of that process. And what that does enable us to guarantee that the best products available are coming from here at all times.
So what type of animals do you have here?
So on the farm at any time, we have 5 or 6 species of animals. And so a lot of farms will be kind of monospeciated, whether that's corn or soybean or cattle or whatever. We do a little bit of everything here. So we have, right now today, we have grass-fed beef. So we have cattle walking around out there. We've got our pasture-raised pork, our pigs. We've got chickens, we have our broilers, which are our meat chickens. And then we have all of our laying hens that are out there in the pasture eating bugs and grass and whatever and laying eggs. And then we also have our Thanksgiving turkeys are running around here in the woods right now. So yeah, we're very diversified, and depending on the type of year, how many animals, but in peak production, which is kind of spring and fall, is when we have the most animals out here at the farm.
And when you say running around, you mean it.
Oh, yeah.
They are free to graze.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that makes such a difference in the quality of their life and the quality of meat that the consumers we get. Tell me a little bit about you. So you were in healthcare for many years before you and some guys created this farm, and you never worked on a farm before.
No.
And now you are full-blown farmer, Farmer Nate.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that journey and how you feel a connection and a correlation between being in the healthcare and now this is another form, right? Through
Sure.
healthy animals and giving it to people like me.
Yeah. Well, I spent the better part of a decade in project management and operational excellence in healthcare. I worked all around the country in hospitals, and I was always on the business side of things, not the clinical side. And my role a lot of times was going into, whether it's an emergency room or an operating room, and understanding what what issues are associated with getting patients through a process. So the moment they walk into an emergency room till they see their physician, all the different processes therein. And I'll never forget, one day I was in Alabama and I was on a job and I was watching patients go through this process, making notes and trying to find opportunities for improvement. Where the root cause of the issue was that everybody walking in there was so incredibly sick. And so that kind of started me down this YouTube hole, and I had a lot of time in planes and in hotels to read and listen to audiobooks. And I started kind of looking into what's wrong with the food system. And there's some farms around the country that I found are doing things differently. And they're raising them in a holistic management, and they're letting animals be animals and raising pigs in the woods like they would in nature and raising cows only eating grass. And I just got fascinated with it. And I told one of my friends, it was my roommate at the time, I was coming back and forth to Tulsa, and I was like, hey, what do you think we should start a farm? Of course, he thought that was hilarious because I'm a city boy, I've never farmed. And long story short, I kind of talked him into it, and we found 10 pigs on Craigslist a week later. And we just went for it, and we YouTubed everything, and we had some farm friends that we met along the way through the Tulsa Farmers Market or wherever, kind of coached us, and people who've been raising animals their whole lives. And we made a lot of mistakes and fumbled through it, but everything we ever produced, we sold. And so we just kind of kept producing more. And then we were selling so much bacon, and we were like, why don't we sell eggs too? So we got 100 laying hens, and we started producing eggs and selling those, and we were selling out of eggs. And then we had 500 laying hens. And it just kind of snowballed into, now we source 20 or so restaurants, and we're doing hundreds of home deliveries and everything. And it started off as a fun hobby and a real interest of mine, and then became something where I felt like we were doing something important. And we were giving our community access at a reasonable price, access to food that's raised beyond the standards of the best food you can find in Oklahoma. As much as the cows have to eat on the pasture, they also spend a lot of times eating legumes and all of that stuff in the woods. And so what we do out here at the farm, and kind of the nice thing about being so close to Tulsa, is we let our customers come out here and see our farm and see what we do and touch the pigs and walk around with the cattle and gather their own eggs so that they can understand with their own eyes, this is what farming could look like if we all decided as a society that this is what we wanted.
Nate, what does being a farmer in Oklahoma mean to you?
It means a lot of hard work, primarily. I always tell people, if you want to do this job, you better love it. And it's a lot of moving pieces, but being a farmer in Oklahoma is really being a partner in your community to meet the need of the people around you. We are producing a product, but primary responsibility, again, is to the land, and then to the animals, and then to our customers. And so it is a moving, shaking, constantly growing, constantly adapting business model that is not for the faint of heart, but it is by far the most fun I've ever had in my life.
And so meaningful. So thank you so much. I've enjoyed experiencing it myself, tasting it myself.
That's good.
And knowing that this is here for all of Oklahoma to experience. Prairie Creek Farms. Thank you, Nate.
You're welcome.
Join us on YouTube and Instagram for this weekly series, and let us know how Healthy Oklahoma is helping you achieve a healthier life.
It is your turn to move.
Your turn to cook, Oklahoma.
Healthy Oklahoma is a program of the Oklahoma State Department of Health.
Stay healthy, Oklahoma!